Have you ever made a mistake and immediately thought, I always mess things up, or everyone's going to think I'm incompetent? Now imagine a close friend made that same mistake. Would you say that same thing to them? Probably not. You'd likely say something like, it's okay, everyone slips up, you'll figure it out. So why is it that it's so much harder to speak to yourself that way? I'm Dr. Tracey Marks, a psychiatrist, and I make mental health education videos to help you strengthen your mind, fortify your brain, and build resilience. In our last video, we talked about how your brain gets stuck in loops of rumination and catastrophic thinking, essentially mentally time traveling in ways that increase anxiety and sap your emotional energy. Today, we're going deeper. We're going to talk about the quality of your internal voice, how to recognize when your self-talk becomes self-sabotage, and how to begin shifting into something more supportive. Because that voice in your head isn't just commentary, it's shaping your brain and your ability to recover from challenges. Let's start with what's actually happening. When you're not focused on a task, your brain activates the default mode network. This is where your mind wanders and where those self-directed thoughts like, what's wrong with me, tend to live. Every time you repeat the same kind of self-talk, your brain strengthens the neural circuits associated with that pattern. It's like walking over the same trail over and over again. The more you walk it, the easier it becomes to find your way back to that path, whether it's helpful or not. And here's the thing. Those negative voices often aren't even yours. They're internalized messages, things that you picked up from caregivers, teachers, or other early influences. But with repetition, they've become automatic, and now they sound like the truth. The inner critic feels so powerful because it taps into something called negativity bias. Your brain is wired to pay more attention to negative information because, from an evolutionary perspective, missing a threat could be fatal, whereas missing an opportunity is just disappointing. This means critical thoughts naturally feel more urgent and more important than supportive ones. So harsh self-talk is often your brain's attempt to protect you from those threats. It's like saying, let me point out your flaws before someone else does. But this backfires because when you criticize yourself harshly, your brain interprets it as a threat and floods your system with stress hormones like cortisol. And this makes it harder to think clearly, regulate your emotions, or learn from what happened. There's also this illusion that harsh self-talk somehow motivates improvement. You might think, if I'm hard on myself, I'll try harder the next time. But research consistently shows the opposite. Self-criticism actually decreases motivation, increases procrastination, and makes you more likely to give up on things when they get difficult. So what's the alternative? You build up your inner coach. Unlike the critic, the inner coach is grounded, constructive, and focused on growth. It holds you accountable without making you feel ashamed. Think of the inner critic as a judge handing down a sentence. The inner coach is a guide helping you course correct, learn, and move forward. Let's look at 4 common critic patterns that often hijack your thinking. The first is the perfectionist. This voice says things like, it has to be flawless or it's worthless. The perfectionist engages in all or nothing thinking, where anything less than perfect is considered a failure. This pattern creates a fear of failure so intense that it can paralyze you from taking action at all. The second pattern is the comparer. This voice constantly measures your worth against others, saying things like, everyone else has it figured out, or you're so far behind. The comparer doesn't realize that it's comparing your behind-the-scenes reality with everyone else's highlight reel. This pattern triggers stress through social comparison and makes you feel inadequate even when you're doing well. The third pattern is the fortune teller. This voice specializes in catastrophic predictions. This will definitely go wrong, or you're going to embarrass yourself. The fortune teller creates anticipatory anxiety that often becomes self-fulfilling because you become so focused on avoiding the predicted disaster, you actually increases the chances of it happening. The fourth pattern is the shame spiral, and this is the most damaging because it attacks your identity rather than your behavior. Instead of saying, you made a mess, it says, you are a mess. or you're fundamentally flawed. This pattern blocks learning and growth because it makes you feel like problems are unfixable character defects rather than behaviors that you can change. What's the antidote to this? Self-compassion. And here's how that works in your brain. When you shift from criticism to compassion, you're activating what researchers call the caregiving system. And this system evolved to help us care for our young and maintain social bonds. When it's activated, it releases oxytocin and activates the parasympathetic nervous system, creating feelings of safety and calm. Self-compassion also enhances activity in your prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for executive function, emotional regulation, and wise decision-making. And this means that when you're kind to yourself, you're literally thinking more clearly and making better choices. Research by Dr. Kristen Neff and others found that people who practice self-compassion have lower levels of cortisol, one of the stress hormones, and they also show greater motivation to improve after setbacks, more resilience in the face of challenges, and better overall mental health. The key to this is developing your inner coach voice. Unlike the inner critic, which judges and condemns, your inner coach is practical, supportive, and focuses on learning and process rather than just outcomes. It holds you accountable while also offering encouragement. Let me give you 3 practical transformation techniques that you can use to shift from critic to coach. The first technique is the tone shift, and this involves changing the emotional quality of your internal voice from harsh and demanding to warm and encouraging. Here's a simple exercise. When you catch yourself in critical self-talk, ask, how would I say this to a good friend who was going through the same thing? Then literally use that same tone and approach with yourself. For example, instead of, you're so stupid for making that mistake, you might say, that was tough, but everyone makes mistakes. What can I learn from this? It's the same basic message about acknowledging the error, but delivered with kindness instead of cruelty. The second technique is the language upgrade. This involves replacing absolute language with more specific and accurate language. Your inner voice or inner critic loves words like always, never, completely, and totally. But these words are rarely accurate and they make situations feel more hopeless than they actually are. Instead of, I always mess up presentations, try, I struggled with this particular presentation. Instead of, I'm terrible at this, try, I'm still learning this skill. Adding words like yet, so far, or I'm learning opens up possibilities for growth and change. You can also shift from identity-based criticism to behavior-based feedback. Instead of, I'm a failure, try, I didn't succeed at this particular thing, or even I failed at this particular thing. But the difference is you're commenting on your behavior or your efforts rather than who you are as a person. And this distinction is crucial because behaviors can be changed, but identity feels fixed. The third technique is the perspective switch, and this means moving from the role of judge to the role of guide. Instead of making harsh statements, your inner coach asks helpful questions. Instead of, you failed again, try, what can I learn from this? Instead of, you're never going to get this right, try, what would help me improve the next time? The inner coach is future-focused rather than past-focused. It's less interested in punishing you for what went wrong and more interested in helping you move forward effectively. Here's a simple test that you can use. I call it the best friend test. When you notice critical self-talk, ask yourself, would I say this to someone I care about? If the answer is no, then you know you need to rephrase it. How can you convey the same information or accountability, but with support and kindness instead of harshness? For daily practice, try setting a morning intention. Today, I'll speak to myself like a trusted coach. This primes your brain to be more aware of your self-talk throughout the day. In the evening, do a quick reflection. Can you catch one moment where you were harsh with yourself and practice reframing it? It can also help to have a simple reset phrase ready for when you catch your inner critic in action. Something like, hold on, let me try that again with more kindness. Or, what would my inner coach say about this? These phrases interrupt the critical pattern and redirect your brain toward more supportive responses. Do you need help coming up with these phrases? I've actually created a free self-compassion companion to give you a head start. It's a collection of simple, research-based phrases that you can use when feeling overwhelmed, ashamed, or stuck in self-criticism. You'll find language for moments of failure, emotional stress, body image struggles, even setting boundaries. Think of it as a phrase bank for your inner coach. You can download it for free at selftalkhelp.com. Print it out, bookmark it, or keep it on your phone, whatever makes it easy for you to reach it when the inner critic gets loud. You're not trying to silence every critical thought you have. The goal is to catch it, soften it, and redirect it. Your inner critic developed as a learned pattern, often in childhood, and it can be unlearned and replaced with something much more helpful. With repetition, your brain starts to default to that more supportive voice. So try this. For the rest of the week, pick one of those techniques, the tone shift, the language upgrade, or the perspective switch, and use it once a day, just once. You'll be surprised at how even small changes in self-talk can shift how you feel and how you show up in the world. In our next video, we'll look at how to evaluate your thoughts more systematically, learning how to question distorted thinking patterns that feed into the critic. So if you've ever wondered, is this thought even true? Or why do I believe this so strongly? That's where we're headed next. If you found this video helpful, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss that next step. Thanks for watching today. I'll see you next time.